Greetings and hello. Society is gynocentric, so it ignores and perpetuates the plight of men. Men are forced to do more labor and work because women deselect men who have self-respect and do what is right for themselves. So, this leads to women staying at home and demanding husbands who work themselves to death, all while the women do nothing. This is pure male usury, and men go along with it out of fear of being deselected by women. So indeed, this situation's root cause is women not wanting men who do not give them privilege, but also gynocentric men who bend the knee to these women. This is the first part in how women demand male suffering and deselect men who want to live happy lives. Women demand that men work long hard hours, all while they can relax at home and do whatever they want. This is universal among the female sex, as women get turned off by house husbands and leave them in much greater numbers. The so-called progression of society does not change this, as women still demand these gender roles. So indeed, relationships are based on male sacrifice and are not equal. Women are only there for the man's resources, not his companionship. This is shown as women would rather ditch a poor handsome guy and go with a high-status guy who is ranked below average in the face. This is intentional, as women do not date for good genetics, but the amount of privileges and the quality of lifestyle that the man will provide for her. It is not about wanting companionship and a connection as it is for men, but rather a ticket to a privileged and pampered life on top of a sucker who can provide for her. There is only one-way transaction, as the man gives and the woman receives. Anything that females complain about, like so-called emotional labor or having to do so much work with the kids, is a farce. It is just a way for them to lie and seek a response where she gets even more pampered. Because if she was required to do even marginally the amount of work that the husband does, she would not choose to be in that relationship in the first place. The feminist notion of women having to do the work while the man sits back is complete projection, as this scenario is reversed as the husband breaks his back providing for the woman, while she complains and lambasts him for small things. Men are there for the false hope of female companionship and intimacy. Men believe that the wife will reciprocate their sacrifices and see them as human due to the so-called effort they put in. This narrative in itself is devised by females to keep men deluded under the guise of quote-unquote love. It serves the woman to have the husband slaving away and chasing the carrot on a stick of her fake affection, which she rarely shows, and is overwhelmed by her purposeful spite and demands. The man is the one who demonstrates all the effort and wanting to be with the woman, while the woman does everything to keep her provider busy and away. There is only one form of masculinity, and it is because women created that social construct, so they are the ones who defined it. Any man who does not fit into that provider role is not chosen, and is thus ignored by society. This is because those men do not fit the gynocentric paradigm of sacrificing themselves to give privileges for women, so society discards them. So it is not men who demand and force other men to be quote masculine. It is women who demand such quantities and mock the men who don't, while manipulating the gullible men who fall into their trap into being attack dogs for the female sex. So masculinity is what women demand, and it is not noble, as it enforces the paradigm that only men are meant to work, and women can lay back and have privileged existences. It also enables infighting between men as to who serves the women more. This is caused by women wanting to subjugate as many men as possible, no matter if it is to their detriment, as long as they can get their privilege. Not equality, as men were always beneath women on the social hierarchy, but expanding women's influence to stomp on and sacrifice more men. The equality framing is a major lie which will be discussed in a future topic. As for now, society has always been run by women pulling the strings of men. Women deselect or refuse to date men who do not favor them, but go after men who are willing to be disposable and act for her. This particularly includes men who resource hoard because they are able to pamper the women more than other types. These resources, whether they be money or goods, show that the man has both the ability and potential to give her privilege. This is part of female nature, where women only choose the men with the most resources, while not wanting a man who is average or at her level, as that would not give her what she wants. Men are also more likely to get assaulted because of misandry and the view that men deserve anything and everything bad, while women are flawless angels. This is done out of both spite and wanting to steal resources from these attacked men and give them to the woman. Men are also more likely to die at work due and from diseases as they go untreated, because women do not want men to take a break from sacrificing for them. The only reason why society virtue signals about not wanting men to remove themselves is because they need laborers. That is the extent of the usury that men go through, as they are not given even the dignity to be in peace, but are demanded to act like a tool until they are dull and can no longer work. Then they are happily discarded or killed. Women do not face this problem, as they demand a man who will provide for them and thus do not have to do any dangerous work. Since their livelihoods are already funded, they do not have to go to the desperate measures that men have to do to sustain themselves. Men are punished for being poor and are attacked by a system that hates them, all because of gynocentrism, which discards and uses them. Both gynocentric men and women are responsible for keeping men disenfranchised. It is a cycle where more and more things are taken away from men and given to women, and those men are attacked even more, with more rights being taken away, and are punished more harshly for wanting at least one bit of happiness in their lives to themselves. Men do not force women to act in a certain way or do anything. It is the women who do this for themselves. This is to upkeep their image of virtue and delude the men that they are going to get what is dangled in front of their heads, namely intimacy and companionship. Men love women for that, for themselves, so they would not force them to confine or fit into any roles. Meanwhile, women demand men who work their butts off for them, or else they do not even get a chance. Women do not like men's company, as they demand a bribe for men to be in their presence. But men want to be with women and are willing to work grueling hours for it. It is as easy as that. So society is structured around women demanding things from men and the men complying. These men are in a never-ending cycle of a hamster running up a wheel and not getting anywhere except making the situation worse. Women will never change with their demand and requirement of men who sacrifice themselves to give them privilege and a pampered life. Women both by proxy of attack dog men who are manipulated, and themselves to attack and smear non-gynocentric men and attack them into complying. The women also do not have any care for the men they are manipulating, as they are mere tools to them, nothing else. Both gynocentric men and women attacking non-gynocentric men is out of spite and nothing else. They see that these men cannot be deluded into seeing everything with rose glasses, that they need some reminder of who is their social better. As always, it is women, as they demand and command the whipped men that serve them. Any infighting at these levels is not between the men themselves but the women. This is not only in the West, but everywhere across the planet, as women want men to be stuck in their gender roles universally. So as a result, men get a raw deal everywhere. Close to all of men's problems are caused by gynocentrism. These include things like poverty and lack of shelter, and especially men's rights issues. Gynocentric men and women are only focused on one thing: giving the women more privileges and influence over men, while taking those resources away from men. This throws the equality narrative in the trash, as women have always been prioritized in any situation over men, and it is the feminists' goal to take away help and life satisfaction from men. Also, women want to target and attack low-status men wherever possible, and thus men in government go along with this. This is through laws that directly attack and disenfranchise poor men, like anti-homeless laws, or other agendas meant to attack men. Only men are the targets of such laws, as women can get a well-off partner easily, and are otherwise provided for by a system if they choose not to. Women have many choices, while men have close to zero, and their only choice is to suffer under the crushing thumb of a gynocentric society that wants them working for the female sex. Women also take pleasure in the suffering of such low-status men, as it demonstrates the control they have over all men through their social dominance. So women and feminists as a result are happy that men are downtrodden and suffering. Feminists also contribute to this by demonizing male sexuality and hobbies, thus wanting to get them restricted and banned. That is their goal as part of the social dominance instinct that women have. Gynocentric men also enable it as they are under the manipulation of women and hate other men themselves. Men are facing a multi-pronged attack coming from all 8 directions, along with infiltrators in their midst working for the enemy. It is of utmost importance that men start to recognize how women really feel about them and stop giving them privileges. Men deserve those safety nets more, as men are always the ones who bear the brunt of society, because women only usurp and already have social backing. If any progress is going to be made in regards to giving men their rights and solving social issues, gynocentric institutions have to be completely eliminated. This can only be done if men come together as a team and agree that they themselves are worthy and to no longer loathe themselves. Men's lives and well-being depend on it.